I actually have a lot of hard drives. I have over 3 SSD drives, like 1 terabyte of SSD drive, 3 of them, and they're all filled up. Okay, so I study a lot and I download a lot too. So if you notice, you will see a lot of tabs open everywhere. I always have tabs open. You see that? So every time I'm always doing something. So because of that, my drives are always occupied. Okay, so I may not be able to do all those justification that I want to do. Okay, let's go ahead. So somebody asked a quick question, so I'll address that, then I'll go back to what we planned for today. Okay. All right. So somebody asked a question and it has to do with networking. Even though we're going to dive deep down in the intermediate class, I'll teach you something you need to know. For example, you're a cloud engineer and you are asked to they give you an IP range. That's what we call IP range. Okay, IP range. First of all, you even understand what an IP is. We'll try to break it down and show you how computers generate IPs. Okay, just the demo will show you practically. Okay, then using the normal zeros and one index to generate those IP numbers, right? So I'll show you how you can calculate it and assign an IP number. If they ask you how many devices can use a particular IP range, you should be able to tell them. You may not get it off heart, but you should be able to do the calculation. Do you understand? Of course, there are some things like IP calculators on the internet there you can use to calculate the IPs. Do you understand? But I want to show you a practical way you will also understand how it works and how to do all those calculations. All right. So we're going to touch things like that. Okay. Now, but to address the question somebody asked us, which was loopback IP and the private IP. So I want to use a simple analogy, right? You know, if you go to a school, okay, there are different schools in different societies. Okay, let's take a school, your primary school, as an example. Okay, so that school, inside that school, there are different classrooms. Okay, I want you to see the school as a network. Okay, as a network. So different people can easily see the school's address, can easily see the school from different locations. Okay, so I want you to see the school as the network, okay? Then see the name of the school or the number of the school premises as what we call a public IP, all right? See the name or the number of the school as a public IP. But the classrooms inside the school, the classroom, each of the classroom inside the school, I want you to call it a subnet, a sub network. Inside that network, you can divide it. That school can be divided into different portions, into different buildings. I want you to see one of the building as a sub network. Did you get it? Sub network. Do you understand? So for one class to communicate, for students in one class to communicate with students with another class, we use what we call private IP to communicate. Does that make sense? So for primary 5 to communicate with primary 6, each class has their own private network. Do you understand? So a private IP is what students or computers or devices are going to use to communicate internally in that network. You understand? That's what a private IP is. But the public IP is the external name or the external IP, okay, or number that your school is going to be used. People are going to use to locate your school in the streets, in the market, on the Google map, anywhere externally. That's what they use to identify your school. It's the public IP. Let me give you a more practical example. Do you know that as you're currently connected to this call right now, right? You have two IPs. You have a public IP and you have a private IP. Your public IP is what someone is going to use to contact you on the internet. You understand? Your public IP is what you shouldn't expose. And importantly, anytime you connect to an ISP provider, for instance, I am currently using MTN 5G, right? If since I am using MTN, my ISP providers, they usually generate what we call a public IP for me. So anytime I connect to my ISP provider, MTN, they are going to assign to my device a public IP. And that public IP is what I will use to communicate on the internet, is what devices can use to contact me. So whenever I visit facebook.com, Facebook will know who to send the response to. Do you understand? So Facebook cannot communicate with anybody. They communicate with IPs. IPs. You understand? Every computer is identified with an IP. Okay? IP. I hope that makes sense to everybody. Okay? So not the private IP this time around, but what? The public IP. It's within that your network that you can use a private IP. Okay? But if you want to communicate outside your network on the internet, you use a public IP. I hope that answers your question. The person who asked that question, I hope that answers your question. I can go deeper into that, but I think Mr. Tully is who asked the question. So I've been able to answer it. Okay, let me know if that makes sense to you. All right. I think this is a good place. I really love that question this person asked, and maybe that's what I will use to build upon what we are going to cover today. So, and because I also want to save time, I decided from some of the things I got from the internet, I'll use it as a recap for what we did in the previous session. Okay. Now, friends, in the last class, we talked about IP and we talked about DNS, which is Route 53, AWS Route 53. Now, just so that I will know, this is just a test to test your technical skills or your experience. On the comment section, friends, please, can you tell me if somebody asks you, what port does Nginx listen on? What port number does Nginx listen on? What will you type? What will be your response? Anybody? Okay. All right. I need more response. Let's be sure. Think about it. I remember I say Nginx. What port number does Nginx listen on? Think about it. Think about it. Remember, I did not say SSH. I did not say SSH. I did not say SSH. Okay. Okay, let's wait for the last person. Okay, good. So the 80 guys has it. The 80 guys has it. It's somebody is actually 80. So Nginx as an application listens on port 80. If you want to confirm this, just go to your if you remember, we did it in our previous classes. I don't know if you all can still remember. Let me see. If you remember, this is our, what is it called? Our killer coder. You all can remember, right? And we've talked about what Nginx is, right? And when we learned what Nginx is, we learned that Nginx is a web server software. Is it not true? And when you install Nginx on a computer, it's going to help you to serve websites. Okay, so if you just come here and say sudo apt install nginx -y, the only way to test if it's working is to go to port 80 and confirm it. Okay, so Nginx listens on port 80. Now, I want you to understand this more when we go to, okay, in our cybersecurity session. Okay, first of all, there's no need going to that route. Just come here and say TCP IP ports. Okay, please, I want to encourage every one of you to look into this. Okay, you can check this carefully and see if you can understand it. So these are popular port numbers. Okay, let me see if this is more beneficial. Project one. Okay, no, this is better. So I'm going to share this. I remember when I started learning all these things, they seemed very technical. There were so many things to learn. But do you know the important thing? I kept every link that was shared, every information that was shared. I kept them, but I was very, very consistent. Over time, they started making sense. There are some things that I'm learning now that did not make sense 2 years ago, 4, 5 years ago, last year. In fact, some things I learned today did not make sense as of last week, last 2 weeks. But the more I learn, I open myself to learning, I begin to understand more things. So please, I want to encourage every one of you to just have that mindset that you are learning something new. And the more you are pouring something into your brain, it's expanding, you're receiving new information. Okay, please don't just resist it. Okay, there's there's bound to be stretch when you get to for in fact, I'm not supposed to be saying this because for you all to have gotten to this point, we're in the final phase, it means you guys are awesome. You understand? Because there are people that once you just get to a particular a particular stretch, you feel like, oh my God, this thing is too hard. They will give up. Do you understand? Aha. So please, I will really want to encourage you to just push a little bit more. Just keep pushing. Trust me, your brain is going to expand more and you will learn new things. You'll be proud of yourself over time. Okay. So this is what we call TCP and UDP ports. For now, if you don't know what TCP and UDP is, don't stress your head. Don't worry yourself. Just know that every device on the internet communicates. Okay. And this laptop that I'm using, there are so many applications running on it. Okay. So many applications are running on my computer. Okay. And each application can be communicates through what we call a port number. Did you just hear what I said? Every application on my computer communicates through a port number, which we popularly call protocol. Okay, a protocol. So the way information is being transferred or the way applications communicate in a network, okay, is there's something we call TCP and UDP. I don't want to go deep into this, okay, but I just want you to know that there's what we call port numbers, okay. So anytime you see SSH and somebody tells you it's port 22, it's because it's a port number, okay. So there's what we call well-known ports, okay, well-known ports, and there are some that are system ports, application ports, and the rest. But don't bother yourself. If you watch here, you see 22. You see, it's secure shell. If you come here and look for, let me show you guys something. I'm doing this deliberately. What do you see on 53? Can you guys tell me what you can see on 53? 53 is what? DNS. And that is why AWS calls it what? AWS Route 53. Because some of you may be wondering, why didn't AWS call it AWS Route 99 or 80? So you get AWS Route 53. Why? Because to communicate for the DNS system or for the DNS service to work, it communicates through port 53. Do you understand? Don't worry, we're going to dive deeper. If you are going to sign up for our cybersecurity class, I'll try to explain this much more in the OSI model and the rest of them. Okay, so but please, you can make reference to this link so that you see some popular port numbers. If you see port 80, you see this is HTTP protocol. And if you check 443, you see it's HTTPS. You don't need to memorize all this. I don't think I know up to 50, right? I don't know up to 50. Do you understand? So you don't need to stress yourself to memorize all this. Okay, good. So having said that, friends, we are learning what is it called? We are learning AWS Route 53. AWS Route 53. And this is what I introduced in the last class. Okay, if you, this is it. From the last class, I told you that there is a service in every computer system called DNS, okay, that helps us to translate www.google.com to an IP address. Do you know a translator? If I start speaking Japan or Korea for some of you, not everybody will understand it. I know there are Korean fans here, people who watch Korea, or Indian fans here, people who watch Indian movies and they can speak it. Okay, let me speak Hausa a little bit. Nagyam kuwai abin na sun gaya maka wai kun gane abin na fada yanzu? I don't know if you guys just understood what I said. Kun gane? Not tambiye quiz. Okay, what I spoke is just Hausa, right? Somebody just responded. So I'm speaking Hausa, right? So now there needs to be there needs to be a translator. Somebody needs to translate what I'm saying to English, which is the generally accepted language, so everybody can understand. It's not really the general, but I mean, it's the middle point between all of us. Everybody can understand English, right? So we need a way to translate it. Do you understand? We need a way to translate that English language. So, ladies and gentlemen, the computers does not know how to speak English. The computer does not know how to speak French, Hausa, Yoruba, or Igbo. Okay? Kunganeko? It doesn't work like that. What the computer understands is 0 and 1, 0 and 1, 0 and 1, on and off, 0 and 1. You understand? Now, but this 0 and 1 is what we use to create an IP address. Does that make sense? This 0 and 1 is what we use to create what? An IP address. Okay, so when you see some IP address that looks like this is what we call an IP address, a 4 octet. Okay, this is what we call a 4 octet. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 places. Okay, when we go to networking, we'll explain all this very well. But just know that every computer has an IP address. Okay, every computer has an IP address. So if you go to the internet and you, like we showed you in the last class, and you come here and you type maybe like you type internet, okay, and you put IP, and I click on images. If you see different, okay, let me see. Okay, good. Something like this. So if you watch this, you see these are different devices all connected. Every device you see here has an IP. Every device on a network has an IP. Do you understand? There's so many things I want to share, but because of time and because we want to cover a lot of things, I will just let you. So it has an IP, and this is what an IP looks like. And this is what I was telling you in terms of zeros and one. Okay. But don't worry, I told you we'll do the explanation later. Okay. So, friends, because you cannot tell the computer zeros and one, you cannot always remember this number. If I tell you that my IP is 4.4.4.14, you may not always remember it. Okay. You may not, if you have 5 EC2 instance, you may not always remember the public IP if I ask you all of them. So as humans, we use names to remember them, okay? And what helps us to translate from a domain name to an IP and from an IP to a domain name is what we call a domain name system. I hope this makes sense to everybody. Good. Now, this is what I'm talking about. What happens when you type a website name into your web browser? We discussed this in the last class, www.google.com. That is the domain name, okay? So domain name makes it easier to remember and type web address instead of IP address. This is it. We discussed all this in the last class. And in the last class, I know my pace is increasing. It's because I'm trying to make sure that what we covered in the last class, I get to a point and summarize it so that we can learn more things. I told you in the last class that there are different orders, okay? Now, even though I have not, so this is what I showed you in the last class, right? This is what I showed you in the last class. Now, but before I come back to this, okay, I want you to remember something. I told you that if you type www.example.com or google.com, right, it doesn't just go to Google and come back. Do you understand? If you just come here and type www.realachieverxy.com. I know this domain does not exist, but it's possible. Let's hit enter. You see, it told me this site cannot be reached. Okay. Now, the question is, how does it know? Now, this is DNS probed, finish NX domain. So a lot of things happened. Okay. So if you have two computers, okay, computer 1, computer 2, okay, this domain is representing a computer, Okay, so your computer does not just go directly to that computer and get information. No, it travels through different servers, through different hubs, through different computers, just like what you see here. Okay, if this web browser is trying to communicate with this web browser here, okay, it doesn't just move from here straight to this place. It will jump from one place to another place to another place to another place. Let me show you practically. Practically, see, this is what I mean by practically. There's something we call trace route. Trace route. If you notice, my voice has changed, right? It happens whenever I teach. It's as though an energy comes upon me and I suddenly become louder. So if I type trace route and I say I want to look for a website, let's say www.facebook.com. If I hit enter, okay, trace route, let me see. Let me be sure. It's supposed to have it, but let me try it on normal Windows. Hold on. I don't think, let me see. Trace route. Trace route 6. This is using trace route 6. Let me see. It's supposed to work, but let's see. Trace route 6 www.google, I mean facebook.com. Network is unreachable. Okay, let me try. http:// Okay, you know what? Let's try it on my normal Windows computer system. So I'll come here and type CMD. Okay, this is my normal Windows command line terminal, right? If I say trace that. Okay, good. So if I didn't get command not found, it means if I didn't get any error, it means that this is here. So if you on Windows is trace that, on Linux is trace route. Okay, trace route. Okay, so if I come here and I use traceat on Windows and I say http://www.facebook.com. Okay, hold on. Are you sure I am not the one doing this? I'll try only Facebook and see what's going to happen. So this is working with. So if you watch what's happening, see. So this is what's happening. When I type traceat www.facebook.com, you're going to notice something. Now, if it says over a maximum of 30 hops, now what is happening there is something that you are seeing here. So it's calculating from this from my computer to Facebook's computer. How many routers or routes, how many routes will it have to pass before it gets to Facebook.com server? That's exactly what you are seeing here. And each of these routes is a computer system. How many computers or servers will it have to pass before it gets to Facebook? So this is helping me to do the calculation. So if you notice the first one is doing the calculation, it will tell you from my computer, okay? If you notice, it's moving to one IP, to another IP, to another IP. So this is what it will be doing before it will be able to tell you how it will get to this particular IP. Please, I hope this is not confusing anybody. If you understood so far, please type yes. If you understand the concept of the trace route, please type yes, just to be sure. Do you all understand? Do you understand the illustration? Please let me know. Okay, good, good, good. So this is it here. Okay, if you watch here, so in most cases, this is just 13. Can you see 13? There are about 13 hops, okay, before it got to the server that is providing the response for me. Okay, you can see different servers it passed through, okay, from different private route servers to an external server before it got to this one. Okay, this is the IP of. So if you type www.facebook.com, the IP you will get will be different from the one I got. Again, I don't want to touch this right now because there are so many things to cover here. So, friends, the most important thing I want you to just to know is this. What I want you to understand is very simple. If you open your terminal, if you open your terminal and type this traceat and type www.facebook.com, you will notice that this facebook.com is associated with an IP. Okay, so this is the IP for this, for the server that is going to respond to me. Does that make sense? Good. Now that we've all understood this simple basics, right? I was trying to let you know that it has to pass through so many points before it gets the IP of that computer. What I typed was this, but I was able to get the IP. Do you understand? It has to pass through so many points before it gets the IP. Do you understand? And this is what I shared with you all in the last class. I told you that the first thing that it will check is the browser cache. Okay? The cache is like a memory, okay? A file where it stores the record. Okay? It stores the record. Okay, let me use an example for every one of you. Friends, how many of you can remember when you open your mobile phone, right? When you open your mobile phone and you want to call somebody, where do you go to? Can somebody tell me on the comment section? If you want to dial a number on your phone, where do you go to? What's the name of the place called? Can you tell me? The name of the place. Okay, somebody say contact. Okay. So in phone, okay, good. So in other words, it's either called contact book or phone book. Is it not true? So there's a phone book. It's like a small database, right? Where it stores record. Is it not true? And how does it store the record? A name attached to a phone number. Is that true? But when you are dialing it, what do you dial? You dial the name. But behind the scene, the phone book is smart enough to know that this name is connected to a number. Is that true? So that name is connected to a number behind the scene. So if you use something like a voice note, or you use Alexa or something, or any voice app on your, depending on the kind of phone you use, and you said, okay, call Peter for me. Once you just turn Google Voice and you say call Peter, it will search through your phone book and look for the name. It will check the phone book to see which number is which name. Where is it's first of all searches it to say where is Peter. Is it not true? It says where is Peter. It searches the database until it finds it. If it doesn't find it, there will not be any record. You will not be able to make the call. But once it finds the name, it will see the number associated with it, and then it will start dialing the number that is connected to that name. Do you understand? That is the concept of DNS. Please, I hope this makes sense to everybody. Okay, so the DNS system helps you to search. Okay, and in the order that it searches is number one, the browser cache. Okay, or the browser history. The second thing it searches is the host file. If it's using a Linux computer, in fact, most, whether Linux or Windows computer, is usually this etc hosts. If you check your Windows computer too, you'll see this kind of location, but it's in the Windows and system directory. Okay. Now, after these two, the last class, I told you that the third thing is the local DNS. This local DNS is also called the ISP, your internet service provider. Okay. So if it doesn't, for instance, you type www.google.com like we have here, right? You are searching for www.google.com. It doesn't know the IP for Google. So it will search here and ask the cache, who is google.com? If you don't know, it will check this file. It doesn't know who google.com. It will ask your ISP provider. Your ISP provider doesn't know. Your ISP provider will ask your root name server before it moves, and it will get to a point. It will be able to know where the IP is, and then it will send it back to you. You can now communicate with the IP. So the DNS does not communicate with your server. The DNS only gets the IP and give it back to you, and then you can communicate with the IP of that computer. I hope this makes sense to everybody. Okay, so this is an example of what a domain looks like. Okay, https://www.abc.com:80. You see something like this. I'm sure you all have seen something like this. This class might not be sufficient. Because of the time, I may not be able to explain everything here. Okay, but for the purpose of example, that I gave you all in the last class, when you go to register a domain, like a domain is something like this, okay, which I told you is a full qualified domain name, www.abz.com, www.google.com. That is a fully qualified domain name. So sometimes you see HTTP, and that means the protocol, the scheme. How is it going to communicate? Okay, the rule it's going to use to communicate. That's what this HTTP, that's what this means. Okay, so but this is HTTPS, which means it's communicating securely. All right, now don't bother yourself about this. So this is a full address. Now this is the port number. In most cases, it can be port 80, then slash something. So anytime you search for something on the internet, you will always see an address that looks similar to that. So if you come here, can you see if I cut this thing, copy all this address you see here, and I come to Google, or sorry, let's come here. Let's come here and paste this. You're going to notice that there are so many things, right? Now, but let me show you from the beginning. So you see, did you see? https://www.google.com/search ? And so on and so forth. Okay, so we say that this first part of it is the protocol it's using communicating. So in most cases, it can be HTTPS, it can be HTTP, it can be FTP, it can be SMTP, different kinds of protocol, but popular ones is just HTTP and HTTPS. So I will remove this just so that you can understand. Okay. Then the next thing we have is www.google.com. You understand? Then you see slash. This place is what we call this the page or the path. And then every other thing you see there is just a query string. It's just a query string, which is what the computer uses to search for information. Okay, so you don't need to memorize all those query string. Okay, this query string, you don't need to memorize it. It mustn't always be search. It can be /home, it can be /index, it can be /anything. I hope this makes sense. So this is what a full web address looks like. Okay, remember, this is just an example. Okay, good. Now, but friends, I want you to understand something. I can also have something like this. So I can have something like http://www.achiever.com. So this is how it looks like. There's usually a dot here. Can you all see this? There's usually a dot. Let me increase the font again so you can see it. Okay, there's usually a dot. Now, some of you may not see it, but imagine if I come here and say I want to visit YouTube or Google. So if I come and say HTTP, okay, or HTTPS ://www.youtube.com. I'll put dot. Did you see what I just did here? https://www.youtube.com dot. Now, this dot is very important. Even though some of you don't put it behind the scene, the browser helps you to put it. So if I hit enter, it will still take you back to the same youtube.com. It will remove it. Okay. If you notice, it still open the different what is it called? Different websites, as you all can see here. Do you understand? Now, but the most important thing I want you to see here is that it went to a website. So friends, I want to explain something quickly. Then we'll move on. The order, okay, I just really pray this is not confusing you. Okay, I will encourage you to watch this again and again. Even though it doesn't make sense, don't worry. Okay, it will make sense over time. I can guarantee this. Okay, when I started learning, it didn't make sense initially. So how does the DNS work, or the DNS routing works? Remember, I showed you something like this. Okay, Now, you see what we have here is .com, .net, .org. But before we come here, I want you to see this. Okay, this is the flow. Okay, now, but www.example.com, example.com, .com.net, .org. All these things you see here, we call them top level domain. There's another one we call the root level domain. And in this case, it is this dot here. You see this first dot you see here is what we call the root level domain. Then this .com is what we call the top level domain. And then this, what is it called? This achiever.com is what we call the second level domain. And then this www subdomain. I will explain it. Let me prove it. So for instance, have you ever seen, if I type this http :// google.com, right? So this is what you have here, okay? www.google.com. In most cases, you have something like this too. Let me show you. In most cases, it's not www. In most cases, it is drive. In most cases, let's assume maybe some of you use Zenith Bank. Have you ever tried to check your bank app? Sometimes you see something like dashboard.zenithbank.com, or depending on the URL. So now, this is what I'm trying to break down for you all, okay? How does the DNS work? The DNS goes from the back. It comes from this way and moves to this way, okay? From the right, okay, yes, from my, if you're looking at it, it's from the right. If it's facing you, it's from the left. So from the right to the left, okay? From the right to the left. I say it again, from the right to the left. So how does the DNS works? So the DNS routing, first of all, checks this. So this dot is what we call the root level domain. Then it moves to the next thing, which we call .com. So in most cases, if it's .com, .gov, .edu, or .net, .biz, and so on. So there are over 200 of them, the top level domains. I will show you an example. Then this one here, zenith.com, is what we call the second level domain. And this, anything you see here is what we call the subdomain. Just like Google, you see this drive.google.com, or you may see something like different kinds of things. Okay, those are the subdomains. Okay, so let me show you something. If I come here and type, okay, in this YouTube, right? You see, this is YouTube. Let me click on something. Did you see if I click on your channel? This is your channel. I'll click on this. Now, if I click on customize your channel, I click on this. Did you notice something here? What did you see in the address bar? Let's click on this. Did you see studio.youtube.com? Not everybody sees that. Do you understand? This is studio.youtube.com. Okay, so this is a subdomain. Do you understand? Okay, let's do one more thing. So I'm going to come here and say root level domain. Yeah, I'm going to so simply put, a root domain is the main part of your website's domain name. That's the part of the website's URL that comes after the www and includes the domain names, etc. So, but let's click on images so that you see what I want to show you. Okay, good. This is a good one. Or let me use. Okay, good. This is a good one. So, friends, can you see? If you see this, so the first thing we have here is root. Second thing we have is top level. The second thing we have is what? Second level. The third thing we have is what? Subdomain. Is it not true? So let me show you using this example. Can you see this root domain, which is also called root zone, is the dot. The top level domain is the .com or .gov or .net. You understand? Then Example.com is the second level domain. The www is what we call the subdomain or host name. This is it here. This is how it looks like again. This .com here is called the top level domain. mydomain.com, this is the domain, this is the subdomain. Do you understand? So let me see. This is another good example, something like this. Okay, this is the dots. You can have .com, .edu, .gov, .military, .organization, .net. You understand? .international. You understand? So these are top level domain. This is the root. Okay, this is the root level. This is the top level domain. Okay, and any other thing you see here is called the what? Second level. See this one, the last thing I will show you here. Okay, this is root level. The .com, .org, .edu, .net is called the top level domain. And any other thing you see here is called the second level. And then we have the subdomain of the parent and then the host. Friends, does this make sense? If you understand, please type yes on the comment section. I just want to be sure that you all understand. Do you understand this? Please type yes, just to be sure. I know it's so much information, right? But please, I encourage you to watch this again. Some of you have been seeing this again and again, but you never understood what is happening or how they came about all those things. Okay? There's actually a mystery behind all of them. Okay? And there's a body responsible for all these things. I told you in the last class that the body called ICAAN. You understand? So if you come here, Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers. Do you understand? They are responsible for it. They are in charge. Okay? Domain name registrants and the rest of them. Okay? So you can go and check them up. It's very, very important. They are the one responsible for all those domain name registration and the rest of them. Okay, let's move on so that we can be very, very fast. Okay, yes. Does all URL have root level domain or it's always bypassed? Yes, they all have. The dot is always there. It's just that you don't see it. Okay, the browser removes it for you. Okay, so that's the order in which it searches it from the dot to the .com or the .org or to the .info before it moves to the whichever name it is. Okay. All right. I think I've said so many things. Let's take it slow and steady. So importantly, this is what you have. Okay. Anytime you see www.example.com, in IT, we call it fully qualified domain name. This is a fully qualified domain name, FQDN. If you're writing any exam and you see FQDN, this is what they're talking about. Okay. And this is different from this. But some of you don't know this. Do you know that sometimes when you type only this, it can redirect you to this? Sometimes there's something responsible for it. It's called a CNAME record, but I don't want to touch it just yet. But have you ever tried to just put youtube.com? So instead of putting http www.youtube.com, I just come here and say youtube.com. Did you see that? Just youtube.com. If I do just youtube.com, automatically it will put the www for me. Do you understand? The same thing with Facebook. If you just come here and say facebook.com, did you see that? Automatically it would redirect you to www.facebook.com. Okay, so this is the help of DNS. So without the subdomain, it is called a naked domain. This is just called a naked domain. Okay, so remember I told you it mustn't be .com. Sometimes it can be .net, it can be .org, it can be . So if you want to know all of them, just come here and type list of TLD. Okay, TLDs or top level domains. So list of internet top level domains. You see that? So you can come here and see all of them. The Lord is your strength. Okay. So now, although these top level domains are in different categories, okay, I know I'm being careful not to touch so many things so that I don't confuse you all. Okay, so if you see, there's top level domains, but they're in different categories. We have what we call CC top level domains. Now, this CC country code top level domains is the type that you see. You see dot www.google.uk, www.google.ca for Canada, www.google.ng for Nigeria. Do you understand? It's a top level domain, but it is under a type of top level domain. You understand? So you can just watch all this and see as many as possible. Do you understand? And then you can understand it. Okay. So I think there are over 200. Okay. So I think this is enough. Let me not bring in so many things so I don't lose you all. But when you start going into the journey of cloud engineering, developers or engineers usually give you domains like this. You might be seeing some funny names like this, server one dot this. So this is like telling you that this is the name of the server, this is the name of the region, and this is the name of the environment, and this is the domain. Okay. Server one is just the name. This is just the region. This is the environment, production, test, or staging, and then the domain. You don't need to memorize all this. Okay. I'm just showing you what you could see. All right. So I told you that this is the order. The ISP will first of all try to resolve it. Okay. What do I mean by resolve it? Resolving, whenever a DNS is trying to resolve something, it means it's trying to translate. Another word for resolving is translating it from this name to IP and from the IP to the name. Okay. That's what we mean by resolving. Okay. So the ISP is going to resolve it. If it cannot, it will go to the root DNS, which I've told you what the root is. Okay. And from the root, it will go to the TLD, domain name servers, before it will move to what we call the authoritative DNS. Okay. So don't worry, we'll take it slow and steady so you can understand what I mean. So, but there's something called DNS record types. But before I come here, we're going to move on to practicals now. Practicals. So, but before I touch anything here, any just a quick one. Does anybody have a question on the comment section? Any confusion? Do you have a question on the comment section? Just to be sure. Just a quick one. Any question? Any confusion? Are we all good? Are we all good? Are we all good? Are we all good? You can type if you, okay. So I want to believe nobody has a question or everybody's good. So let's do something. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Enoch, for responding. Thank you. So friends, let's try this together. Can you open your computer system? Please open your computer system. And we're going to check two places. One is going to be the browser. The second one is going to be our terminal. Yeah, it gave you 30 hubs. Okay, awesome. That's a good one. That's a good one. So now I want to, okay, so let me just share this for the purpose of information. I would have said I'll leave it to the intermediate class, but there are other commands on the terminals you can use to always find extra information about a domain. Okay. If you want to find information about a domain, the DNS information about a domain, friends, this is what to use. All you need, you can use popular commands like NS lookup. Okay. There's something called NS lookup. I just typed it there. You can use ping. Okay. You can also use what we call whois. If you're using Kali as your operating system, you can use whatweb, but it might not work in other operating system. You can use the popular one called dig. You can also use the trace route. Okay, trace route. Okay, you can also use host if you want to. Okay, so these are the popular commands you can use on the terminals to find information about a particular domain. Okay, now, but let's use the GUI. What do I mean by GUI? Browser. So if I want to find information about a particular domain, okay, like the company, okay, so the company where I work as a DevOps engineer, and I would have loved to use the one I use for cloud security, but the company is actually, okay, let me see. just for security reasons, I won't use that one. But let's just use Dari.io. But I want to show you all something, friends. So let's type DNS checker. Okay. They're different thing. If you just type DNS checker, you're going to see this. Okay. You can use this as well, or you can use MX Toolbox. But there's what we call DNS checker. If you click on this, let me copy the link and share with you so that if you're following, you can easily use it. Yes, yes, sir. So now this is dnschecker.com. Okay. So you want to check for a particular domain. Okay. So if I come here and say I am looking for Dari.io, okay, this is a website I'm aware of. Okay, Dari.io. Now, if you come here and you click on what is it called? Now, these are different types of record. Don't worry about this for now. I'll just click on search. Okay. Now, this is what it's going to do. It will try to check about that domain name that I just provided. Okay. So let's see. Let's see. Okay. So it's this domain is available in all this. At least you can see there's an IP provided for it. You understand? So you can see the IP provided for it, and you can see the nations and different locations where this what is it called? This domain is available to. You understand? Now, but I don't want to start digging deep into it. Now, but that's what we call who is. If I type who is, for instance, and domain names and identity for everyone. If I click on this, it's going to open this. So if I come here and say who if I type Dari.io, click on search. Watch what's going to happen. Okay. No, I hope I didn't go to the wrong website. Hold on. Let me be sure I did not visit the wrong one. Hold on, let me see. Okay, let me come here and say Dari.io. So can you see it's even revealing my private IP address, private. So anybody that tries to ping this IP will not be able to reach me because, okay, good. So this is, can you see the domain I search for Dari.io? You see, it's giving me information about this domain. Do you understand? See, this is all the registrar's information. The information. So there's something that once happened online, right? If you've ever seen different things that happen on social media, I think there's this thing that happens on social media, Twitter, for instance, and then there's this some group of people we call whistleblowers, and then something happens, they're trying to find the credibility and so on and so forth. If you remember that period, there was this time that the Nigerian government released a URL and asked people to go and register for it if they want to if you're in Nigeria. Sorry, forgive me please for this analogy. This is for the context of Nigeria, okay? So Nigerian government provided a URL and asked people to go and use it to register if they want to be able to visit visit Dubai, right? But they will have to pay, I think, either 600,000 naira or so, right? Once they pay, they will be able to it gives them clearance and access to be able to travel to Dubai, right? Now, so but something happened, right? Upon investigation and so on and so forth, they found out that that domain does not belong to the to Dubai. You understand? It doesn't belong to the Dubai government. Okay, it doesn't belong to the Dubai government. Most of Dubai's domain usually ends with .gov, .gov. Okay, their governmental websites usually end with .gov. That's the name of their top level domain. I hope this is making sense to everybody for you, right? Okay, top level domain, see .gov, right? So when the person was investigating, it was using platforms like this. Okay, so all they did was to paste that URL. Yeah, I hope you all can see it. Who.is. Don't use the first one that I used, please. Okay, go back and use this particular one that I have here. Okay, please. So immediately you check, it says it start giving you all the extra information. Do you understand? And it can also give me the servers, what we call authoritative servers, the name servers, where the domain name records are being stored. Do you understand? So just know that all these are special information related to this domain. So if they want to know when it's going to expire, when it was registered, and so on and so forth, do you understand? You come here, you start seeing some other information. Do you understand? Now, although some of them has been redacted, not everybody's own is redacted. That is how to also find out on spammy websites. Okay, so because sometimes some of those people are very lazy. You understand? So you can actually trace who is trying to reach out to you or trying. So you can come here, you see the person's name, address, and all those information. Do you understand? And interestingly, you can even pay some of these companies, and they will even reveal some of this information that is redacted. Okay, redacted. In other words, it's being withheld for privacy purpose. I hope this makes sense to everybody and it's not confusing. All right, good. So it's very, very important that you understand what I'm doing. So I'm just showing you how you can use the GUI to find this special information about a particular domain. And I told you, if you want to do the same thing over the terminal, we can come here and use the terminal. If I come here and say, instead of using, if I type ping and say, I want to look for Dari.io and I hit enter, you see, I'm getting reply. The most important thing here is I can see what if I was a penetration tester. The first thing that is valuable from this enumeration is the IP, information gathering. So this is the IP of the server that is responding to me. Do you understand? Good. So if I want to do more, I can use a tool called Dig. Now, but Dig is not functional in Windows computer. If we are using Linux, let's see if we can do this on our, let's see. No, okay, sorry. Let's use our killer coder. So if you type dig, D-I-G, you see it's working here, right? So this works on Linux environment. So if you type D-I-G, dig, and then type the name of the domain, if I say Dari.io, you see, it digs to find information about those people. You understand? So the most important thing is that we get an IP. You understand? And you see some extra information. So we can use a lot of tools to dig and find many things. But again, I want to limit this thing to the context of what I'm teaching you so that I don't go over the board. Okay. Now, yes, I think we've done justice to that. So let's go to the practical side of what I want to cover for you all. So let's see. Yeah, so on AWS Route 53. So anytime you open here, anytime you open AWS Route 53, this is what you're going to see. Okay. Anytime you open AWS Route 53, let me type it here again so you can see Route 53. This is what you're going to see. You're going to see something that looks like this. Okay. And it will ask you to create. These are different features that comes with it. In the last class, I told you that you can register your domain. Okay. We all know what a domain is by now, right? Good. So I was searching to see how I can help you all to get the domains. I don't know how many of you were able to practice to maybe apply for. Was any of you able to apply for those ones I talked about, the students, GitHub students? Did anybody apply? Honestly, it would have been very, very beneficial to you, right? Because I'm sure you get a free one. So one thing I realized is you will not be you'll not be able to get a free domain. I've been searching and searching to see if we can get a free domain, but in most cases, what I was getting was a free subdomain. free subdomain. So I'll just give you all some illustrations and we'll see how that's going to happen. So if you want to get some free subdomains, you can come here and there's a site called system.io. Okay. So I think they can help you to build websites and the rest. Okay. So you can sign up for free. It's just like Wix. Okay. If you come here and type Wix, they are going to help you to build a website. Okay. It's a free website builder. And if you can try it out, they'll help you to build a very, very beautiful website. Okay. And then you can share it with people. Okay. And then you will get a free subdomain. What do I mean by free subdomain? It will be, instead of your name.com, it will be, let's say it will be jamil.wix.com or vivian.wix.com. Okay. That's the subdomain. Okay, so that's the best they can give you. If you want a fully customized domain like www.vivian.com and it shows you your Wix website, you will need to pay for it. Okay, that's what we call a full custom domain. Okay, and in the last class, I told you to get a full custom domain, you can pay for one from Namecheap. Okay, let me write down the names of the ones I mentioned in the last class. Let's see. I told you you can get from Namecheap. Okay. You can also get from, what is it called? I think there is the Power Hosts. The Power Hosts. You can also try Bluehost. Okay. There's also name.com. There's also what is it called? GoDaddy. Okay. There's also Hostinger. Okay. So you can just check these domains, these domain registrars. Okay. Now, so yes, that was what I said, Mr. Ibrahim. You actually need a student's email address. So you can actually just look for a student around you that's maybe in a school, university around you, or a student online. Some of them don't use their school email for anything. I can assure you, some of them don't. Not everybody do. So some persons don't. It's only when the school send them email, they check it once in a while. So if they can trust you, you can use the email and just open a GitHub account, and then you'll be able to sign up with one. You understand? Or if you don't want to, you can look for another means of identification. You understand? So that's what I wanted to say. Okay, Google Host is also a good one. Okay. Okay. So let me see what this person said. I wanted to buy one. Okay, so on Namecheap, so I noticed, okay, I will just give you a few details on these things like we did in the last class. So even though Namecheap is good, but please, I want to encourage you all to be very, very careful. If, let's say, Achiever, real Achiever dot XYZ, and I click on search. So let's see. It's going to be available, of course. Now you see this is $2.com, but please, can you see this retail? This is the original price, but they are telling you are paying this. So take note, because if you click here, you're going to see more information. Okay, so you need to read more so that you understand, because you might see a particular amount and you go and click on it only for you to meet a shocker. Do you understand? So like this one, this is $0.98. So not all of them needs $5. Although, like you said, you need to check to see the underlying payments. Do you understand? So some of them have underlying, like this one, this is retails are 1.78. So if I click on this one, for instance, now, to add it to cart, of course, it's going to ask me for some other things because there are some things that comes with it. Do you understand? There are some things that comes with it. Maybe you need what is it called? You need SSL and some other things. You will need to pay for it. So if I go to checkout, for instance, okay, now if you watch here, this is what you see. 1 year registration. This is the amount. this is the ICANN fee. You understand? So if you watch here, this is $1.96. Do you understand? So if you want to enable some things, the amount will start increasing. Do you understand? So please, you need to confirm it and check it properly before you go ahead to buy. Even though Namecheap is more reliable in terms of support, okay, in terms of providing support if something happens, okay, that's why they are more popular than many other what is it called? There are some domains that if you buy from them, if you have any issue, you will be struggling to fix it. Another notable one that if the money is not a problem for you is Cloudflare. Okay, Cloudflare is one of the best in terms of speed and so many things. So this is what the what is it called? The cost is just mind blowing. Do you understand? Mind blowing. So, but I don't want to register anyway. Let me see. Okay, this is what I was doing for the government. So let's see. So I want you all to try and look at, there was one I was trying to do before this session. I was actually trying to check it out. So let me show you all quickly, then we'll continue this. Okay, good. This is it. It's called freedns.afraid.org. You have to be careful. Okay, they'll just give you a free subdomain. It's a free subdomain they will give you. Okay, if you, let's come here and say copy and paste it here. Sorry, no, free DNS. So this is it. Okay, you can try it out. Let me share it with you all on the comment section. Okay. Okay, I don't even know they use a wallet. I was not aware of that. Okay, so now, but in case if money is not an issue for you, honestly, if it's me, I would just go directly to AWS, because with AWS Route 53, you can also register your own domain. You see that? So these are all the features that comes with it. So you mustn't register from other third-party providers. Okay, other third-party registrar. You can register with Route 53. And the interesting thing is, if you register in GoDaddy or Namecheap, you can transfer it to Route 53 to still work. Do you understand? So supposing I want to register a domain and I click on this, it will take me to this. So supposing I come here and say I want to buy cloud security demo site, and I click on check .xyz. It's what I'm looking for, because this is usually cheaper. That's why I usually type XYZ, in case you all are wondering why I'm always typing this, because it's usually cheaper. So if I come here and type that, so this is what you're going to see. Okay, so it's going to be searching. Okay, it's going to be searching, but you see, it's $14. Their price is usually higher. I don't think I've seen a price on AWS that's less than $14. All their prices, the list is $14. It doesn't go lower than that, except maybe you come here now and say you now want to look for a specific kind of domain. You see that? So this is where you can find a top level domain. Okay, different top level domains. Let's go here and see. Okay, you see? Can you see? There's $9. So you see, it's possible to search. I told you the list I have seen is 14, but you see, it's actually $9. All you need to do is just, this is .co.uk. So if I come to this last one and see, let me see. So it's just for you to search and see if you can find something very, very helpful. Okay. So now, if I come here and say .co.uk and I click on search, you see, I found $9. It's cheaper. So it's possible to search. Okay. The pricing can always change based on the top level domain. I hope this is making sense to anybody. So let's assume this is what I want to use, right? So I'll click on this select. Okay. and it's going to get to this point. I'll click on proceed to checkout. Now, for this demo, I'll just say don't auto renew, because every 1 year it will want to auto renew. But I say no, one off. So this is the domain name. You see it? If you notice there's no www dot anything here, because anything you put in front of this place, we call it what? Subdomain. See that? Aha. So if we come here and click on next. So now this is, do you remember when we used the DNS checker to check for dari.io? All those information is all this information that this is asking me to provide for my new domain. Did you see that? So at the end of it, if I click on this checkbox, turn privacy protection on, it will hide some information. So it will redact it. So anytime somebody go to Whois to do something, it will redact the information. I hope this makes sense to everybody. So let's see if I can just put some dummy information. So let's say it's a person. Let's see. Let's see. Nigeria. So additional info for that. Let me see. I just hope it's going to work. This exists. So let's leave everything. If I click on next, okay, it's asking me for errors in this section. Okay. Let's see. Representing self. Okay. So I'll click on next. Okay. So if I come down, so this is all the information I have here. So if I'm done, I'll just click on this checkbox and click on submit. Okay. So the domain registration will be in progress. You'll receive a registration status email for each domain. Okay. So it's only one. Now it's going to send this as an email. Please take note, if you're using our what is it called? The IAM account we send to you. If you try to create one, it's going to send the email to us and then we can cancel it. So, but please, I encourage you, this is just a practice purpose. Okay. So try to just either create an account and practice it, or you can buy the domain. So, but this is just how to do the domain. If this happens, if we click on check status, it will be registering it. Now, this is one of the ones I have tried before and it failed. You understand? And that's why you see this one here. Okay, I was trying to teach somebody something and this failed. Okay, so but this is the one we are trying right now and it's saying it's in progress. Okay, so you can continue checking. So it says starting April 24, any communications you will receive about your domains will come from this email address instead of this. Okay, so let's see. I can reload this to check, but again, let's go back to this. So right now the domain is not yet ready. So it's possible I will get an error message. Do you understand? It's possible I'll get an error message. Number of friends, this is what I want to show you all. Okay, this is how to register the domain. Now, but if you come to Route 53 and say you want to create the way Route 53 works is this. Let's say you go and get a domain somewhere. Okay, you get a domain somewhere, or you have an IP address. Okay, to make this more practical, you can use an S3 domain. You know, when you create a bucket in S3 and you host a website on it, do you remember that the endpoint it used to give you, it's a full endpoint, right? And you see S3.AWS, Amazon, blah, 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 right? So you can connect your Route 53 to it, okay? Or you can connect your domain to your EC2 instance, okay? All those things are made possible using what we call hosted zone, okay? If you want to work with Route 53, once you have created a domain somewhere, okay? Once you have created a domain somewhere, this is what you are going to see. Friends, can you all see this? cloudsecurity.demosite.co.uk, okay? So if you've not created a domain, you will not see this. Okay, take note of that. Okay, now all you need to do, this is the one I have here. Okay, now, but if you have created one elsewhere, all you need to do is to click on create hosted zone, and it will ask you to put the name of the domain. Okay, so for instance, if it is jamil.com, do you understand? You put the name of the domain. Do you understand? And that is all. Now, but the most important thing is that we have public hosted zone and we have private hosted zone. So this public hosted zone is for communications that is going to give you access to the internet. Okay, traffic that is over the internet. But this private hosted zone is for traffic that is occurring within AWS cloud, AWS VPC, virtual private cloud. Do you understand? So for now, we are using this one. Okay. So once you click on this create hosted zone, you're going to see two. You understand? Now, let me show you something. If you watch here, you can see records. This is what you have here. This is what you have here. You're seeing we are under records, but I don't want to do this. I can go back to the hosted zone. And if you watch here, this is what you will see. Can you see jamil.com, cloudsecurity.co.uk? This is how to create the domains. Okay. So wherever you create the domains, once you can confirm that the domain has been registered, okay, all you need to do is to come here, okay, and create a hosted zone. So a hosted zone is like a container or a place where you are going to store your DNS record. Okay, it's where you are going to store your DNS record. If you remember this image that we did here, okay, so all this information, okay, this is the DNS records, these records here, okay, so this can be mapped to this IP. All these records, okay, can be stored inside our hosted zone. For instance, this one I just created, which is Cloud Security Demo Site. If you click on this, you will notice that it created 2 records for me, okay. So there's what we call types of domain DNS records. Okay, we have different types of records. Okay, our DNS records. We have what we call name server. We have what we call SOA, which is if I'm correct, is start of authority. If I'm correct, so we have different types of records. Okay, so you can create as many as possible. All you need to do is to click on create. Okay, we have the text record, we have the MX record, and so on and so forth. But I don't want to touch that so that I don't confuse you all. The goal is to make this as simple as possible. Now, while this class seems to be a little bit very technical and very detailed, it's because I want you all to learn it. As for what you need for maybe just for practice, right? Maybe just for practice. I want you, the most important thing I want you all to learn is that there is something called DNS. Okay? There is something called what? DNS. And AWS has a DNS service, which we call AWS Route 53. Okay? That is AWS Global DNS Service. Okay? And if you want to create this kind of DNS, can you see this is called hosted zone? Okay, so this, once you click create a hosted zone, you can put all the records there. Okay, you can put all the records there. Now, for the sake of simplicity, right? These are the types of DNS records we have. We have what we call the A record, NS record, CNAME record. Sometimes not all CNAME record is the same thing as alias record. Sometimes they separate them. Okay, there's MX record, there's SOA record, which I told you is start of authority. There's TXT record. There are so many of them. So many of them. There's even CAA, which I think is Certificate Authority Authorization, if I'm correct. Okay, so there's so many records. Now, you may be asking yourself, when do we use each of these things? How do we use it? Which is important to us? Now, you see this A record you see here. It says IP of the domain name. Anytime you want to do a record, maybe this type of record here, where you just map the name, this name to IP, there's a specific type of record you will use. Do you understand? So the IP of the domain. So if you want to map name to IP, especially for this one you see here, so this A record is for IP. So we have NS record, we have AAA. So there is A record, there's quad A, which is A record. Let me show you from Google so you can see it's better. If I come here and say types of DNS records, okay, can you see? See the AAA records I talked about. This is the CAA I talked about. If you choose this A record, let me see. I'm trying to click on this drop down. See what it looks like. Okay, so this is a record. Okay, it's not giving me what I want, but let's come here and open this so you see DNS records. Let me see. Even Wikipedia has it. Okay, so you can see you can read more about it here, but these are popular records. Okay, popular records, A records, AA records, and each one of them, see, there are many more records. Okay, so you don't need to memorize all these things. Okay, just know that anytime you want to use a record, can you see that this is the domain name example.com? This is the IP. Do you understand? So a record shows the IP address of a specific host name or domain. So, but if you come to a record, this one, the way it works is this is domain name to IP, and the IP it's marked to is IPv4, IP version 4. But quad A record is used to map to IP version 6. So if you watch here, you're going to see this is IP version 6. This is what it looks like. Okay. So then this one called CNAME is if you want to map a name to another name. Let me show you what it looks like. This is it. One domain name points to another domain name. For example, if you want to map this example.com, you want to map it to www.com. So anytime you put example.com, it should redirect the person to www.example.com. The type of record we use is called CNAME record. Okay, that's what this, so each one of them, that's what they are used for. If you, all the special information you are getting is because of this SOA record, TXT record too. Then this is the popular one, NS record. So this is IP of name servers. So if you watch this, right, the servers that are responsible for telling you where to go, okay, like where to get the IP of www.example.com when you traveled all these routes, right? It's called the name servers. Sometimes it can be 1, 2, 3, 4 servers. Let me show you what I mean practically. Check this, what we created. You see, this is the website I created, right? And if you watch here, you see NS record. If you select this, right? Did you see what we have here? This is what we call NS servers. It's an NS record and it's pointing to NS servers. Did you notice that they made it in a way such that it is pointing to different top level domain? So AWS helps you to make it faster so that anything you do, so even if you type any of this, it will make it faster for you to get your information. So this is what a name server record looks like. It points it to this. Okay, just to make it much more interesting again, you see the Jamil we did here. You see this Jamil.com we did here, right? If I wanted to create, what is it called? This is the name server record. If you select this, can you see this is something that does not exist? Or if this was existing, this is what you are going to use and add to your GoDaddy or to your Namecheap. Okay, for instance, this guy here, let me see. No, let me see. Let's come here. Okay, Good. Now, this is a subdomain I created here, right? Which I'll encourage every one of you to try and create one on this. You understand? So once you create one here, and I click on this, okay, let's see if this is going to work. Okay, this guy only works with a record. Let me see if NS record works. It doesn't work. So now, but on the server, if it was what is it called, Namecheap, I wish we had something I can demonstrate. I tried to buy one. I tried to buy one in real time, but I was not able to get it because of some card details and issues like that. Do you understand? I wasn't able to do it. I think I'll try to reach out to Chief Abiola. I did not remember because of how I felt, right? So I will try and reach out to him. Hopefully I'll be able to excuse me, I'll be able to get a domain name and then try and do the mapping for you all. I'm sure he has a domain name. I would have even used the one of Skill Africa. Do you understand? And show you how to do the mapping. Do you understand, to your AWS? So, but if anybody's able to get one, fine, please do let me know so we can use it as an example. But I'm sure between now and the next class, I'll try and get one. If I get it this week, I'll create a short video to show you how to practically use one of them that we have. Okay, so the reason why I can show you practically right now is because most of these domains here are not giving me the job that I need. Okay, all these ones here, they're not giving me the jobs that I need. Okay, so please do let me know if you have any question. So this is how to set it up. And once you're able to set it up, you'll be able to give, once you give them this IP, this domain name, they'll be able to have access to your website. So this is what the DNS Route 53 is all about. So I'll do a quick recap and then we'll call it a day. Even though I'm supposed to touch on something called the routing policy. We have different types of routing policy. Simple routing policy. We also have what is it called? The geolocation policy, the weighted policy, and the rest of them, latency, and the rest of them. You understand? So yeah. So this is the routing policy, but I'll try to explain that in the real time for you all so that you understand. And also I'll try to share these images to anybody interested in it to understand better. Okay, but let me do a quick recap on this and then we'll call it a day. If you have questions, you can ask me. Okay, although I planned I was going to set up an AWS WordPress. I was hoping I was going to do that and then use our domain for it, you see. Oh my God. Okay, so, but this is a quick recap of what we talked about in the last class, okay? Or if you type www.google.com or example.com on your browser, your computer will first of all check its browser cache, okay? If it doesn't find it, it will check the host file. If it doesn't find it, it's going to check this resolver zone. If it doesn't see it in the resolver zone, it will go to the global zone. If it doesn't find it, it will check to go to the hosted zone. So from the resolver zone to the global zone to the hosted zone. But from the resolver zone, which is simply your ISP, right? It is asking who is example.com. It doesn't know it. But because it can see .com, so there's a dot. It will go to where the root DNS, which we talked about, which is the full stop, the dot. So that root DNS will say, okay, because I can see .com, I have the address of the .com TLD address, that the .com top level domain address. So it will send it. You see, this arrow is pointing this way. It will send the address to this ISP. And then this ISP will take that address and send it and say, okay, I know who I should contact. So it will now send information to this TLD address and say, who is www.example.com? It's asking this TLD DNS server. So this TLD DNS server will say, okay, I don't know who www.example.com, but I can see that you have example.com. So let me send you to let me give you the address of example.com name server address. So it will send the address to this guy that initiated the request, the ISP. The ISP will take it and now send the information to the name server address and say, who is example.com? And this guy will say, oh, it will now check its DNS records. Okay. So the name server holds all the domain records. It will see example.com to be like, oh, I know what you are looking for. This is the IP for the server you're looking for. It will send it to this guy. And this guy will take it and now send the ISP will now send it to my computer. It will get the IP. So this computer can now communicate with the server directly using its IP. And this guy can now respond to it. This is the DNS routing we spoke about. And AWS Route 53 makes this possible using different route policy. You understand? If you start creating it, you notice that it is using different types of route policy. You understand? If I wanted to create a record now, a simple record here, you understand? Maybe I want to create something like, let's say, www.jamu.com. So this is a subdomain. If you come here, you see you have to choose the type of record. Is it an A record? Is it an AAA record? Or is it a CNAME record? You have to choose the one you want. If it's an A record, which points to IPv address, you choose this. Then the next thing you will do is to put the value of the IP. Do you understand? If it's an EC2 instance, you put the EC2 instance IP here. And you choose the policy. And then there's something we call TTL, which is like the time to live. We call TTL, time to live. It's, in other words, is the duration. How long will it take for it to be cached? What do I mean by how long will it take for it to be cached? You know, this thing we talked about here, right? Where this guy search. You know, the next day, let's say for the next day, right? I come and I type www.example.com. It's not going to go all this route again. No. Okay, the first round is enough. So it's going to store it in its cache memory. Okay, how long will it stay in its cache memory is dependent on what we call the TTL. Okay, the TTL, time to live. Okay, so you see, they are recommending you choose 2 days for good practice. You can use as many seconds as possible. But why they are choosing 2 days is because if for any reason something happens, you can always change it. Do you understand? But if you maybe use something like 10 days, okay, what it means is that for the next 10 days, anytime you type www.example.com, it will just be giving you the information. But my question is, what if, for instance, this IP changes? Okay, you know, this server is the one hosting this information. So what you are typing is www.example.com. So my question is, what if the IP changes? You know that it's because your TTL is 10 days, it will still be fetching you, it will still be trying to go back to this IP. And then you'll be saying that the site is not loading, not knowing that the IP has changed. So that is why we always use shorter days. Do you understand? So some people even use 30 seconds and so on. But for testing, you can use 30 seconds just to test it. Do you understand? So this is, so if you want to choose another routing, this is how this routing works. Just explain a few things on the routing and then we'll call it a day in 5 minutes. So this is how a simple routing looks like. Supposing this is me, okay? I want to visit www.example.com, okay? Now, and instead of going directly, I don't know the IP. Is it not true? I'm going to ask Route 53. Okay. Now, of course, Route 53 is going to tell me, okay, this is the IP. Okay. After it does the DNS routing. Okay. So if it tells me the IP, this guy will now send the information to that IP and then to be able to talk to the information. So one web server, this is a very simple routing. This is the way it works. Okay. But if you use another type of routing, which we call latency-based routing, okay, companies use this one to determine how fast users get access to information. Let's use Netflix, for instance. Netflix, all right? I hope you all understand me. Netflix, you know that the more you enjoy watching Netflix when it is very, very fast and it's not lagging. And Netflix makes that possible because of latency-based routing like this and other algorithms they use. Okay, so if the time it takes, let's say Netflix is hosting their website or their movie website in North Virginia, and they are also hosting it on Oregon, and they are hosting it on California, the same websites hosted in different regions. And you know it's going to be having different IPs, okay, because there are different servers in different regions, right? Now, so Route 53 can calculate how long the distance between you, your location, and that region. So let's say this is 20 milliseconds, 35 milliseconds, 42 milliseconds. Do you understand? So whenever you try to type www.example.com or netflix.com, Route 53 will calculate the latency and it will take you to the fastest one. So the shorter, the lower the timing, the latency, the faster the load time. Okay, so the faster the user is going to access the application. I hope this makes sense to everybody. Okay, so that's what we call a latency-based routing policy. Do you understand? And then we have another one called the weighted routing policy. This is how it looks like, but there's more to it. And if you watch here, you see this is 25%, 15%, 60%. So you will be the one to assign it percentage. This is not a load balancer, okay? But this is just, there's a way you do the calculation. If I wanted to create one, if I click here and I choose weighted, you see, it's going to ask me to put the weight, okay? In the intermediate class, I'm going to teach you something we call deployment method. It's what we call blue-green deployment and different types of deployments, right? And you'll see that the way companies roll out new updates, sometimes they can say 50% of users should be visiting all their traffic, 50% of our users should be going to this region. You understand? And all the remaining 25% should be going to other regions. Or sometimes you might even see 80%, 20%, or even 90%, 10%. You understand? So if I come here and put 90%, so this is for one region. So if I put this, it's going to ask me more information. Do you understand? So what it means is that it will always reroute people more to this particular direction. Do you understand? And the reason why companies use this is maybe if they perform a change, okay, they want to see the behavior, okay? Let's say 20%, 80%. 20% will be for changes. If anything happens, they can easily reverse the change. But if their new update is working fine, right, they can now replicate the change to the 80% region. Now, this sounds so technical, but don't worry, I don't want to dive deeper into all this, but again, just know that the routing policy is very, very interesting, okay? If you really want to be a solutions architect or an AWS solution professional, these kind of things are what you need to understand perfectly well, okay? You need to understand them very, very, very well, okay? Now, you need to take your time. You don't need to rush, okay? It's something that you need to read up a little bit. Try to read the ebook I sent to you all. Some of these informations are there, you understand? And then you'll be able to make sense of all these things. So this is another one called geolocation routing policy, you understand? Whereby you can say that anybody that is coming from the US, Route 53 should push them. You set up a server and say, give them anything hosted in North Virginia. Anybody coming from EU or Asia or even Africa, you understand? Let me ask you all, how many of you noticed something? Did you notice that, okay, awesome, somebody has one. Maybe we'll try and check it later. So I want to ask you all, did you notice that, I don't know if it's just happening to me. If you have you ever tried to search for a movie on Netflix, or you saw something online and somebody told you that how do I call it? Somebody is showcasing a movie on Netflix and only for you to go to Netflix and try to search for it, you cannot find it. Has it ever happened to some of you? Or even DSTV, you try to search for a particular channel, you notice that you cannot see it, right? It's not available to you in your location or in your region. Do you understand? So it's because of things like geolocation routing policy, okay, whereby companies that implement this policy, you are only if they check where you are coming from, they will only display content to you based on your region. So London people have a specific information they can see. Those in US has, so those kind of things are what we call geolocation policy. Okay, so exactly, you can also see something like it's not available in your location. Do you understand? So there are so many policies. There are so many of them here. Okay. So, but we're going to stop here for today. And I really hope this has been very, very helpful to you all. Okay. I really hope this has been helpful. So if you have any question, please, this would be a good time to ask me. Okay. So this is the bare minimum you should understand about Route 53, AWS Route 53. Okay. Yes. Thank you so much. I really hope you learned something. So if you have questions, this would be a good time to ask me here. Okay. Yeah, thank you, friends. I think we have somebody. Mr. Abdul was here. Okay. Okay. Yes. Kindly unmute yourself and ask questions, sir, please. You're welcome, Mr. Ashraf. Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead, Mr. Abdul was here. Good evening.
Okay, just a quick one. Good evening. Is it possible to set up a domain with multiple routing policy?
Yes, it's possible. In fact, that's what I think is this concept of traffic policy. So you can even set up combine two policies. Can you see this illustration here? Can you see this is there's a policy called failover. Okay, there's a failover and then there's weighted rule. You understand? So let's say the DNS is coming over. So there's what we call the primary server where it's supposed to go to. So if it fails, it should go to the secondary. That's what this looks like. Okay, you have two types of server in two regions. And if you try to go to the primary server, if for any reason that server is down or it's not accessible, reroute them to the secondary server. You understand? So when you get through, the next level is what we call the weighted rule, which is that 90-10 or 80-20 I talked about. You see that? So this traffic policy or traffic flow is what we use to combine more than one policy at the same time. I hope that helps.
Yes, very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir. Okay. Somebody asked a question. Let's answer the questions here. Example says it's not available. Yeah, it happens to when searching for jobs outside Africa. Yes, sometimes I think that happens. Can this geolocation be bypassed with a VPN? Since VPN, yes, it can. Yes, it can. It can. In fact, I want to tell you all that whenever you are practicing, whenever you get a domain in the future and you're practicing this, one way you can test run all these things is either you use a VPN or you can create an EC2 instance in a specific region. For instance, maybe you want to test how it works for a specific, you want to test the geolocation. You can choose to create an EC2 instance, a Windows instance in, let's say in Asia, and try to access it and see whether it's going to give you response. Then you can also create one in Africa and create one in the US East region. You understand? Then you'll be able to make sense of it. Okay, so you can either use VPNs to switch your region, or you can just use the AWS this region changer to always change from one region and create resources there. Okay, yes. So yes, Mr. Ibrahim, please, what's the function of the cache? I am DNS routing. So if I understand you correctly, So the cache ideally is just like it's a memory, it's like a file, a database, something that helps to store records. Okay, temporal record is like a cookie per se, but there's more to it. Okay, it's like okay, let me use a dictionary meaning so that I don't try to give it a personal cache meaning. A collection of, okay, in terms of computing, an auxiliary memory from which high-speed retrieval is possible. Okay, no, this is too technical. Store data in a cache memory. The operating system tries to catch every disk operation. So it's ideally a memory where you can use to store information. Okay, it's a kind of temporal memory. Okay, let me see if I can find any. What is a cache memory? A type of data storage used to store frequently accessed information for faster response time. Okay, I hope that answers your question. All right. So, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Won't this routing policy render the load balancer useless? No, no, sir. So they can all be combined. In fact, a good what is it called? A good solution architect or a good what they call them CISO. Is it CISO um or there's this name they call them after the CEO. Some companies hire them. They are more like they are in charge of. They are not. It's not the IT manager. There's this name they call them. Some of you that works in companies should be able to relate. Is this C something? It's not CSO, not C. It's not CISO. It's a special name we call them, right? So it's more like the team lead, but they are not the team lead. So it's like the team lead of team leads. But I think I don't think it's CSO. I don't think it's CSO, but it has something to do with C. You understand? Okay, so they are in charge of they when they are designing all these things with the solutions architect, relating this thing to the AWS world, I told you there's a certification called AWS Solutions Architect, right? So it's one of the technical skills that is expected for people to know. Although I'm speaking from an experience and practical side. If you go to write the exams and watch the videos, they'll just teach you the theories, right? They are not touching anything in practicals, okay? So they just expect you, they'll just explain this, and that's all. But you're expected to know how to design and combine the load balancer with the Route 53 policy. The goal is to ensure that there is high availability and resilience. You understand? So you want to set up something that is very, very reliable. You want your system to be highly reliable in every aspect. You understand? So if Route 53 does not work, the load balancer will work. So you can even combine all of them at the same time with CloudFront and do so many other things. Okay. So Mr. Babs, no, it does not render it useless. They all have their place. Do you understand? Yeah. So the Route 53 will point to the load balancer, and the load balancer can point to, in fact, the Route 53 can point to CloudFront, CloudFront can point to load balancer can now point to maybe auto scaling group and other things like that. Okay. So somebody asked like AWS edge location. Yeah. It works that way too, but it's a different use case. Who do sites ask us to is it okay? I believe you meant why do sites ask us to accept cookies? So the cookies are special informations, right? In most cases, there are different types of cookies, right? There are different types of cookies. Now, these cookies, you're welcome, Mr. Babs. These cookies sometimes are we have application cookies, we have different types of cookies. Some of the cookies are metadata, special data that your computer this website needs to perform effectively, especially some plugins that the website has to perform effectively. Although some cookies are also yes, it acts like a cache. In fact, you can call it a cache too. You understand? So in most cases, some cookies can also just capture your personal information, like your IP, your operating system, your location, and the rest of them, so that when you visit the website again, they don't need to ask you to log in again, or they don't need to ask you who you are. They don't need to ask you to create. So the cache or the cookies helps you a lot of helps the website you're visiting. It helps them to serve you better. But in most cases, some companies abuse it because some of those data they have, they can use it for something you never intended them to use it for. Do you understand? So exactly, they can use it to sell to customers and different things and so on. Okay, some companies that are so people, especially vendors and the rest, they can meet different companies and they can get information, and they'll be able to target different customers and different people. Like, I know you guys have seen things like whereby you talked about something, maybe you talked about Adidas, or maybe Puma um um shoes, and then all of a sudden you came online and suddenly everything you are saying now, although that's a different thing entirely, but it also works with things like that. So your websites can also track it and so on, but that's more information there for another day. Okay, so helping direct customers to correct web locations. So any question from anybody? Any question? Excuse me, I think I feel more better now. Oh god. Okay, so thank you so much for waiting. Thank you for staying. I think we've done great justice. So thank you. I think next week is going to be our final week. Okay, before we now move into the project session. So next week is the final week. I will encourage you all to go and read up on CloudFront, so you can understand how CloudFront works, because that's what we're going to touch in the next class. Okay, just read up on CloudFront again. So it's going to help you to understand it better when I'm explaining. I think I should have done this earlier, such that ahead of it, I'll tell you all to go and read up on it, so that when we during the class you can ask me more questions, or you can be better prepared to understand it better. Okay, I'm so sorry, but so please just read up on CloudFront. Okay, and we'll meet next week. So on Friday, if any of you are able to get the okay, if you're able to get Fridays tomorrow, if you're able to get a domain, if I get one, I'll try and see if I can do it tomorrow for you all. Okay, if possible, if I'm able to get the domain, I'll try and see if I can do it live with you all, the Route 53 with the domain tomorrow. We may even do a WordPress setup. It all depends. But if I'm not able to get it tomorrow, I'll just take my time and do it and then send it recorded. All right. Okay, somebody, you say you have one from Namecheap. Okay, please, can you send it to Mrs. Vivian, or I've not been on Teams, on what is it called, Telegram, for since the last class. Not even this last one, like 2 classes ago, because my God, as well. But I'll be fine. Please, if you can, okay, you can share, so we can look at it together and be able to share, help every other person to learn better. Friends, thank you so much for your patience. Thank you for joining me to learn and being part of this. Thank you. And please do have a good night rest. If there are no more questions, the recording will be available between the next 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours. I should have been able to upload it. All right. So let me stop recording right now so it's not too lengthy. I really hope today's session was informative. So thank you all and good night. All right. So let's click on stop recording. Yes. So stop sharing my screen.